time to be alive, that is for sure. Welcome to the Wednesday edition, October 9th, 2013 of Charlie McGrath's Wide Awake News. It's time for Karen's Corner, and we've got a lot to talk about today. I will be bringing my guest on just momentarily, but first I'd like to really address this truckers' strike, which is turning out to involve veterans and to be huge. I have an email that I have received this morning, and I haven't had a chance yet to post it. What I will do, though, is I will post it on my blog page on UnitedWeStrike.com, where I have also posted some very urgent information for everyone who is going to go to Washington. If you are going to the belly of the beast, you need to know a few things in order to protect yourselves, your families, your equipment from the excesses of government gone wild. Please check it out on the homepage of United We Strike. Also, if you didn't hear Dinah Monday and Tuesday, she subbed for Charlie yesterday, please tune into those. I've also got those linked up, as well as some information from my friend Suzanne Posel. Now, let me find this quickly then before I start on this other article. She's done some research because I talked to her about the fact that these truckers and everything were going on strike, and she says that she has spoken to, let me find it up here, because we were talking about the fuel costs, and she is also not thinking that this is a good deal. She says it's a direct blow to the middle class. It puts hundreds of millions of dollars into the accounts of the banks and credit cards and oil companies, to which my husband was under the impression that companies, the big companies who fund these truckers, who give them the jobs, only pay fuel for actual runs and won't pay for this. However, Suzanne says that she's personally spoken to trucking corporations, owner-operated trucking corporations, and subcontracted drivers, and they all said the same thing. The company pays for the gas and they write it off as a business expense, and it's bullshit. Be very, very careful here. Do your homework if you want to show up. I don't know all of the answers. I don't even know all of the questions. What I do know is that we are ripe for a false flag, and in our opinion, that's my husband and myself, this is one already. Shutting down the government can be a sort of false flag in itself. We see the government going after veterans. There are links also on the homepage of United We Strike of veterans being arrested for going to the Vietnam Memorial. There are also links there to the government purposefully telling park representatives to be as hard on people as possible. There's a link to a bus, I believe it was from Yellowstone or Yosemite, where the tourists from all over the world were forced to sit in a bus for hours without having access to the bathrooms, being surrounded by the military with guns. Folks, if you don't think that soldiers in uniforms will fire on Americans, think again. Do some research. Look up the bonus soldiers after World War I, when soldiers were promised bonuses from the president for staying in the war. And when they came home, they were blown off. Not only were they blown off, they were evicted, they were persecuted, and they were fired on by their own. The brainwashing runs extremely deeply, and until we have the courage to look into it, we're going to be fooled. Another link that you really need to consider, Dinah Everett Snyder is one of the most intelligent women I know. I can get the general gist of an idea. Dinah hones in on all the details. She has written an article, and it is an urgent warning to truckers and protesters. And I will just start. I know she read this yesterday, and this is the only paragraph I'll read from this, but you need to know that you are headed to a city-state called Washington, D.C. It is not in America. It does not represent America. It is not un-American land. It is an independent nation, which is the District of Columbia. It's a small town, and it's not in the state of America. It's not a state of America. It operates under Roman law, where the entire concept originated and is sovereign, and because of that, it operates autonomously. This again is one of the 3 city-states I heard her mention yesterday. We have the head of the snake in terms of the finances in the city of London. We have the spiritual side of the New World Order, the spiritual head, which is the Vatican City. We have the District of Columbia, which is the military arm of the New World Order. Think about that, folks. Think about the fact that the military-industrial complex budget for the United States of America, or the not-so-United States, exceeds that of all the other countries in the world combined. We are the military arm, and those of you in uniform have been brainwashed into going against your own best interests. It is vital that you understand the uniform has power. You do not until you step out of the uniform and into your lives. We are headed forward, and there is no turning back now. We have people who are realizing they're ripped off. We have many, many angry people out there, but not all of us understand how to be able to successfully maneuver. There are ways to deal with police. There are ways to deal with when you are forced to sign anything. There are different ways of speaking in court. Do not speak to these policemen in any kind of threatening tone. Don't give them a reason to attack you, but also don't give them a reason to arrest you. And certainly whenever they speak to you, do not understand anything. Because if you understand, then that means you stand under their authority. You don't want to do that. Act as stupid as you want. Don't understand what they're trying to tell you. And if you are forced to sign something, put brackets around your name, write under duress, write over your name. Make sure that you are not signing away your rights. And for God's sake, don't sign it in all capital letters. Use only the capital letter of your the first capital letter in your name, but don't fall into the trap of signing it like your social security number, like your driver's license says, because these are all traps. And until we can see through this maze, until we can change our consciousness, change our thinking, we won't be able to succeed. Also, the article that I'm going to put up says, okay, police must detain accessories to treason or truckers will, organizers say. Earl Conlon, a Georgia trucker who's handling logistics for the protest, told U.S. News tractor-trailer drivers will circle the Beltway 3 lanes deep as he rides with other participants to Congress to seek the arrest of congressmen for allegedly disregarding the Constitution. They will keep the left lane open for emergency vehicles, but everyone who doesn't have a supporter sticker on their window, good luck. Nobody in, nobody out. If you want to be allowed past the convoy, you must have on your somewhere on your vehicle T, the number 2, S, D as in dog, A. It's an acronym for the event's original name, Truckers to Shut Down America. So T, the number 2, S, D, A, and they will let you get around. Otherwise, it won't be fun. If the police decide to give them a hard time, they're going to lock up the brakes and stop right there with a 3-lane road block. Also, Zeta Andrews, who's a former country music singer helping promote the protest, said participants would present demands to congressmen, including the impeachment of Obama, and give them an opportunity to agree to the demands in exchange for canceling the ride. But Conlon says that's not quite right. They're coming whether the truckers are coming whether the people in Washington like it or not. They're not asking for impeachment. They're asking for the arrest of everyone in government who has violated their oath of office. He also said that he said, we want these people arrested, and we're coming in with a grand jury to do it. We're going to ask law enforcement to uphold their constitutional oath and make these arrests. If they refuse to do it by the power of the people of the United States and the people's grand jury, if they don't want to arrest these people, we will find a way. So this is going to be an extremely touchy situation. Please, please check out the urgent warning to truckers. Read that. Do some homework. Understand how to go along with talking with these people. You want to go under common law, not statute law. You want to make sure that you're not responsible for harm, loss, or injury to anyone involved. And we do want to change the course of history and turn this world around. But in order to do that, we are going to have to be careful because, in my opinion, this is also very, very touchy, and it could give Obama the chance to implement martial law. FEMA camps exist. There are drones, and the military, when you look at the military and the police, they are dressed exactly the same. So they're ready to bang heads. And the implementation of the martial law we are already under would be horrific. We need to be smart about this. We need to unite in solidarity. If you want to support the truckers, you can also get your supplies ahead of time, support your local mom and pop shops, and stay home, off the streets. In my opinion, the only time we really need to show up en masse is in our local neighborhoods when we've heard of a SWAT team going through a door for a ridiculous charge, sometimes just as little as a college debt. We need to stand together when the police take away children. CPS has no right to come in through an allegation or an accusation and take away your child. We need to stand up when an innocent protester is tasered by the police. And that is when, within the town, within the community, we need to have a network so that all of us drop whatever we're doing, close up shop, and head over and completely swarm the judge's office, the police department, the jailhouse, the courthouse. I think the time is coming to really begin to think about that as well, because when you leave your home and your family, you're vulnerable. Your family is vulnerable, and God forbid some kind of provocateur, false flag, bomb goes off here, and then everything is in lockdown. How will you get back to your family? Be smart, be wise, know that change is coming, but the revolution will not be televised. Now, I'd like to thank my guest today, Dr. Lynn Sarita, for listening to all of that, because one of the big things that we need to talk about here is not only changing our minds and our hearts, we have to change our consciousness. We have to change our way of looking at the world. Dr. Lynn Sarita is the founder of QuantumU.com. He holds a PhD in psychology and an MA in educational psychology from the University of California, Berkeley, as well as an earlier master's in counseling psychology and a Bachelor of Education from the University of Alberta in Edmonton. And here's what he has to say. Within the context of completing my PhD in educational psychology in the late 60s, it became apparent that the most essential ingredient toward transforming our world into a better place for everyone was going to have to do with transforming our level of consciousness. Trying to impose some notion of social betterment from the outside in alone has no possibility of ever working. The deeper reality is that people must come to a place inside themselves wherein they volunteer to cooperate effectively. Otherwise, through imposition, we simply end up putting some other elitist group in charge of our lives. We hold these innermost inalienable human truths, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to be self-evident. With all due respect to every human being ever born here on this, our home planet, spaceship Earth. Welcome, Lynn, to the program. Thank you for joining me today.
Wow. It feels good to have said that. Sometimes I surprise myself. What I'd like to talk about, given that, it'll be a little shorter, is to think of it in two parts. For the first part, I'd like to talk a little bit about consciousness and the idea of finding our natural stone or philosopher's stone, the stone of wisdom within. And then I'd like to go on to talk about both the economic and political implications for much more integral, whole being states of consciousness.
The floor is yours.
So to begin with, I've been thinking of doing this YouTube video in which I sort of temporarily title it "Stoners of the World, It's Time to Wake Up Yet Another Step." And Carl Jung, in his 2 volumes on alchemy, pointed out that the philosopher's stone is something that is, natural to our nervous system within us. The problem is we're not taught very well how to awaken our nervous system to higher levels of consciousness, more integral levels. And certainly people know within the context of using drugs that certain, there are levels of stone that people can describe. At the first level, people start to notice an enhancement in sensory awareness. It's like at the sensory level, colors seem brighter, everything seems more interesting than normal. Even the desire to munch seems to increase. And there's more delight in all sensual activities. So that's kind of like a first level of mild stone. But the bottom line is that William James, in the late 20s, wrote a book he called Varieties of Religious Experience. And he talked about these same phenomena that people have naturally. It's not like we necessarily have to resort to drugs to have these experiences. There are many times when we're feeling really great, when our nervous system, our emotions are up, we experience this naturally. So it's not necessary to become compulsively addicted to drugs in order to experience these states. And then when you go beyond sensory level experiences, people start to notice subtle nuances in reality that they normally don't pick up on. In a sense, their brain begins to open up as well, and they notice that people often reveal themselves more clearly than we normally notice. And this often leads to laughter. In fact, it can lead to such intense levels of laughter that at times in the very best of stones, including natural stones, we get to the place where we experience one belly laughing. I mean, how many people out there have had the experience in their childhood and in later life when somebody says something so perfectly right on about reality that everybody starts cracking up from their belly and rolling on the ground in laughter? So, this is another level of stone that most of us have experienced, and many of us in very natural ways. Beyond this, in the lovemaking experience, and when we so-called fall or elevate in love, many people have the experience in the afterglow, if they'll just have the patience to kind of wait around and enjoy the intensity of the climax they just experienced, they'll have the experience of only one heart beating, as though there's only one essential person experiencing the same thing. And we even have this in great performances where, suddenly we're at a totally brilliant performance and everybody spontaneously gets up and starts clapping as loud as they can out of sheer joy because they know they've witnessed something absolutely brilliant. And in the Buddhist tradition, they refer to this as the sound of one hand clapping. So now we're getting beyond just, the experience of sensory and the experience of the mind opening up. We're starting to notice that everything seems to be interconnected with everything else, and that we actually are more intimately interconnected with each other than we normally acknowledge. The next stage of stone, people start to, as they experience this oneness nature more, they start to notice that everything seems to be energy. They start to notice that as the colors brighten, everything has a glow around it. Everything has seems to shimmer with pure energy and colors radiating out beyond the mere physical bounds of anything. And we start to notice that with each other. It's like, oh my God, our friends are actually fields of light. They're not just, whatever their name is. They actually seem to be an entity that is radiating with energy that is interconnected with all other energies And then finally we get to a place of consciousness where people start to get so into the pure energy nature of everything that they start to feel their so-called ego, their essence begin to melt and dissolve into everything all around them, to the point where we get into non-dualistic, no difference, non-separate states of consciousness. If in these states we begin to go, oh my God, I am my neighbor, I am the rock, I am the tree. And in the native Indian tradition they say, I am the eagle. Because within the native tradition, the eagle becomes a symbol for God, for Wakantanka, for oneness, for the great ultimate spirit.
You got to hold that thought, Lynn, but we are all connected. We'll be right back after these messages.
Many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BioAge.com. BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Famous Pastor Lindsey Williams.
I'm 77 years of age. I feel better than I did when I was in my 50s and 60s. I was so sick, I thought I was going to die. It relates to a product that you handle right here. Folks, you positively must, after this show, you've got to click on Carnivora. They must have it in their medicine cabinet.
This is owner Richard Ostro for Carnivora Research International. This is promo time, folks, for Carnivora capsules. Buy 2, get 1 free. Buy 4, get 2 free. Buy 6 and get 3 free. There is no limit. You must use the promotion code BCAPS3. That's BCAPS3, whether calling 1-866-VENUS-FLY or placing your order online at CARNIVORA.com. That's carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
Who can it be knocking at my door? That's an interesting question when you start to think about consciousness, when you start to think that we are all connected. And many times we do look for escaping the reality, the hard facts of poverty, which are actually lies, the illusion of inequality, the disease, and all of this. And in times, people look to alcohol or to smoking pot. You know, one of the reasons the government is so opposed to smoking pot is it actually helps to decalcify the pineal gland, which is the third eye, and it makes you look at a bigger picture, as well as gives people who really are ill ways of dealing with pain and healing their pain. A lot of people now are talking about the entheogens, the ayahuasca and things like that. We're looking for ways to understand who we are so that we can get out of this trap that we're in, this legal economic conquest. So, Dr. Lynn, back to being the eagle.
Well, and the bottom line, just to complete this thought, is that whenever we get that stoned, in a sense, whenever we wake up enough to have a real religious experience of non-separation, of non-difference, what we automatically, essentially discover within ourselves, that we elevate into a place of being in love with life itself. We elevate into a place of being in love with existence. It's all, all of the great spiritual traditions have attempted to say that oneness or godness is essentially no different than lovingness or love itself. So, in other words, it's like we have been designed to have access to this place. And rather than truly respect it, we get lost in these recreational weekends where we get stoned at these lower levels and occasionally zoom up into these higher levels. And then we fall back into the ordinary, as you say, suffering and hurting and paining and attempting to control and manipulate each other out of our fears and our pains to the point where we, find ourselves locked into misery again and then feel compelled, well, I need another hit, But we don't take
I've got a question.
Okay.
Though for you from Buddy here, he's asking if you're talking about just an overproduction of the natural serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. I'm not sure oxytocin, or if you're going beyond biology.
DMT even. No, these are all natural substances when our nervous system is totally open and really humming and functioning along as it's meant to, we produce a natural stone. Actually, DMT is one of the most prevalent substances in the universe. Every living plant and animal produces DMT. We ourselves produce it within the context of our respiratory circulatory system when our respiratory circulatory system is the most open. So we're constantly producing this when we're open. But when we fall into fear and contraction and pain and suffering, we so lessen our natural levels of this that, we lose it. We lose the natural gift of consciousness. And what I'm suggesting and making a case for is that we learn to take this seriously enough so that we actually, in the native traditions, we partake of these substances in real religious spiritual ceremony so that we don't just use them recreationally, but we start to use them to evolve our consciousness into this place of being able to live in non-separation within oneness. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yes, I know that also. Let's talk about how to get there if you're not going to use another substance. If you're finally to the point where you want to just awaken inside of yourself, you want to see what all of this is about, how would you tell people to start to do that, to tune in to the great I am within?
This is why I, did my best to explain it in my Growing One's Inner Wisdom to the Max. Basically, you could say that there's three main components to our nervous system: the feeling and emotional, the rational logical, and the heart, which is the core center of the whole intelligent function unit. And it's the most capable of helping us to integrate the left brain within the right brain, centered within the heart. Because the bottom line is when people go into higher altered states of consciousness, the whole brain begins to light up instantaneously, simultaneously, synchronistically, serendipitously, all at once at the same time. Instead of just looking into our brain field, one piecemeal at a time, and then trying to piece it together linear sequentially so that we can figure things out, when we go into altered states of consciousness, our brain field, our intelligence, our heart system is designed to integrate everything we know simultaneously, instantaneously, in huge flashes of insight. So the whole idea is for us to value this so much that everyone would say, we would make it part of our educational system. Everyone would say, wow, I want to stay stoned all the time, and I don't want to take drugs anymore to get there. Okay?
I do think that naturally is the best way, and I know that there are different forms of meditation. One of the ways that works the best for me is actually just to sit outside, to leave the computer, to go outside and enjoy the outstanding view I am blessed to have, maybe pet my cat, and to just be grateful. And in that, I do my own little prayers, my own Ho'oponopono. I sing my little prayer songs, and it helps me a great deal.
Well, Abraham Maslow, actually, when he studied, people who actually exhibited a sense of life, liberty, and true found happiness, he found that the essential quality is learning how to just be in the present, be here now. And whatever helps you, it doesn't have to be formal meditation. In fact, Maslow discovered that only maybe 35 to 40% of his subjects practiced any formal kind of meditation. Most people intuitively sensed exactly as you do that certain ways of being help to bring them more present. So that once you get a glimpse of that, the idea is to extend that sense of presence into everything you do. Not just when you're out petting the cat, but also when you're on a talk show radio, right?
That's the challenge. Now, for people who live in the city and who would require a different type of meditation, how would you suggest they begin to step away from using other substances and step within?
Well, the key, of course, because the heart is the key, is to find something you love to do so totally that you want to be fully present in what you're doing. Every one of us, I'm firmly convinced, as somebody who studied consciousness for a long time now, that every one of us come in here with a talent, with a gift, with something that we just love to do. The trick is to figure out how to make a living, how to earn your keep by getting so good at some aspect of what you love to display.
Right. I know that I felt very, very blessed when I used to sing for a living. It just was a wonderful feeling. I love to sing, and also then just to be able to tell people, what do you do? I sing for my living, and
right.
It felt great. Yeah.
And you feel like you found your purpose and you're doing your purpose, right?
Exactly.
So, given that we've set the sense of this, I want to get into economics and politics. Incidentally, if people are interested in my understandings of consciousness, they can go to Quantum U. I have a 2-volume book you can order there called Quantum U, and then I have my recent one, complete with picture illustrations, which is Growing One's Inner Wisdom to the Max by Balboa Press.
Okay, you got to hold on. We've got one more break. Also, I want to encourage you and all the listeners, get your water, because, again, we'll go out with a water meditation. We'll be right back after these messages.
Just one more time. Oh, would you tell me again? Oh, can you feel it? Oh, would you tell me again tonight?
Guys, Charlie here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my Homestead Seed Bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
Is what you are currently doing to relieve your pain working for you? Do you have chronic pain in your knees, your elbows, your joints, your back, your muscles? Have you tried going to the doctors and the naturopathic doctors, the back cracks, the motions, the potions, the lotions, and nothing seems to really last? There's a new product called a placebo enhancer. Now, don't laugh. The name is to avoid tyranny from the drug cartels that want to keep everybody on a leash. This product is advanced science. It's cutting edge. It's quantum physics-based, energy-infused liquid suspension with a transdermal magnesium applicant. You spray a couple sprays on where it hurts, and that's all you have to do, and within 20 minutes it's in every one of your cells. Go to painsucks.info and get the information. That's painsucks.info. Again, you can get a free trial bottle. Just pay shipping and handling at painsucks.info. Your pain isn't going to go away on its own, so get your trial bottle immediately. Painsucks.info.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand.
All right, trust your feelings. It's easy now. The more we learn about government, the more we learn to trust the feelings that they are not on our side. This is breaking news. Thank you for the tip from Anon in there. Unfortunately, it looks like an ex-police officer opened fire on a federal courthouse building this afternoon. Witnesses say he got off 25 to 30 shots before being shot himself. Understand, a lot is pending on this weekend. They are afraid that we will understand that our lives are more important than their lives. So be very, very careful. I think that we ought to be prepared as we can, as prepared as possible. Have food, have water. Understand that you need to be able to take care of your family. This recent shooting today only shows, again, they are not going to deal with us well. This man was taken down, and I would be willing to bet if we look into his background, we can find some SSRI drugs there. Dr. Lynn, back to you.
Well, I'd like to kind of get into what I wrote about in Quantum Economics Plus Worldwide for a couple of moments. In this book, which I see as part of Growing One's Inner Wisdom, I point out, that the idea that the founding fathers pointed to three inalienable rights, not just liberty, as, our current model would have us believe, our current entrepreneur economic model. And I also want to note that life has everything to do, developing our sense of life has everything to do with opening the feeling and emotional side of our nervous system. And that liberty has everything to do with opening the rational, logical side of our intelligence from what the Buddhists call little mind into big mind. Big mind is that place where the whole brain begins to fire and light up simultaneously, and it's exactly the place where we become the most co-creatively effective. So, and then a true happiness the bottom line is that you cannot possibly find true happiness until you learn to open your heart as fully as possible into the field of oneness and love that exists everywhere all around us. It's simply not possible to find this. So I say that these three inalienable rights are so fundamental to everyone's possibility to realize these three things within themselves that there are 7 areas of industry that are completely key related to helping all of us find our sense of life, liberty, and true found happiness. And they're so fundamental that, in fact, we the people should own these areas of industry at 2 levels. One I call a W-type corp, where everyone in the country would be a 1 equal share owner in an overriding corporation in an area of industry, like banking being number 1. So in other words, we the people should own the Federal Reserve, and everyone should have a 1-vote right to vote in the board of directors who would run the Federal Reserve completely independently of central government. Okay? And then every bank, if you're a user, let's say in Wells Fargo, or we have People's Bank here in Taos, or whatever your small bank might be, insofar as you choose to use a given bank, you should have a 1 share, 1 vote, majority controlling interest. In other words, these 1 share people who are users of the bank should own 60% of the bank or more, so that they can vote in exactly the board of directors that they might like to most run their bank in the way that they, would support the people in the community. In other words, if we had control of the banks, we the people would have much more fundamental access to making the kind of loans that would allow us to become entrepreneurs with, dividend earning, interest earning entrepreneurs within the system. So I point out 7 such key areas of industry. Of course, healthcare would be another. Instead of, having a 1 single payer system controlled by the government, we still have competing models, but we would own them. We would own majority interest in whichever model you would choose. So you would therefore have the controlling vote in the Board of Governors and how the chosen healthcare provider you chose would be run. So the bottom line is, when you put these, media is another one. How can we ever, in any true sense of we the people democracy, ever have expected to allow a minority few to control the mass media industry and thus control the messaging we get without us being the owners of that? We the people should own that. And it shouldn't be in the hands of any kind of central government, which could also control the messaging we get. If you like to listen to CNN or Fox, you should be 1 share, 60% majority owner interest in those stations, and you should be able to determine what kind of content gets presented to you. And of course, if we really value we the people as true equals within this field of at-one-ment, then we would want to hear every side to an issue as, super rationologically as could possibly be presented, so we could make a wise decision as opposed to make an indoctrinated decision. So,
Agreed. I have to say that your sense of joy in life really comes through, and it is very refreshing because, as you know, I tend to let some of this news actually get me down at times, but I really do feel that until we recognize and can look at the darker parts of ourselves, I think sometimes we have a problem with, in the New Age movement, we're all focused only on ourselves, but when more of us, when other people around the world are being murdered, we've got to recognize that they're part of our family. We have to stand up and stop this. And I know that we haven't had very much time today, Lynn, and I apologize for that. With this breaking news, my heart really was pushing me to make sure people think clearly about what they're doing, because, as you know, our world is not what it could be. Dr. Lynn Sarita.
Just take a moment to summarize. So there's 4 other areas, or 5 others that I haven't mentioned, but the bottom line is what I try to point to is if we the people were one share controlling interest in all of these, in the user corporations that are essential to our life, liberty and true found happiness, my model suggests that we could actually create the conditions for every single adult person to earn a dividend income of at least $15,000 a year before they would get involved in doing what they most love to do. In fact, if they had this kind of a base income, and a couple would have 30 grand, they could more likely focus on doing precisely what their gift is. I mean, how dare we confine people in such a way that they don't feel any hope to do what their gift is, as though we somehow know better than oneness itself, as though we know better than God what a person is supposed to slave at for the rest of their lives, right? So I just wanted to give you a sense of that.
Well, thank you. And I want people to know that you can get more from Dr. Lynn, and I will have you back from quantumu.com. That's you as in YOU.com. And now we're going to end the show again on a meditation on the water, because as we do look around our world, there are clues as to how we can come together, and water is in everything. It unites us. It is life-giving. It holds memory. And so the breaking news is a shooting again that's happening today in West Virginia at the federal courthouse. Please check out the information on the homepage of UnitedWeStrike.com. Check out Dr. Lynn. Think about the possibilities. And now let's get back to instilling peace within ourselves. We are more than we know. Our lives are important. Brett, will you please begin playing the music in the background? And again, really think, people, about what you want to do. Who is most important in your life? And if your family is important, make sure you are there to take care of them, or that you'll be able to get home. Do not be caught up somewhere where a provocateur can get you. Take precautions. Know your rights. Thank you very much, Dr. Lynn from quantumu.com. Thank you, listeners. Bless your water.
Chakra, the center of our spine. And I invoke the beloved presence of Archangel Gabriel and the white ray of cosmic purity, Christ consciousness, and ascension. Good morning, Archangel Gabriel. Radiate through me God's purity in my thoughts, intentions, feelings, and expressions. Activate the Christ consciousness within me, and activate and expand the ascension ray, that I may be a vehicle and an instrument to assist humanity as well as in my own ascension. Let this white light fill my entire being and body, my mental, emotional, physical, etheric, and causal body with the pure white Christ light, and let that expand through my breath, gently, into all my centers, into all my chakras, to activate and expand my life force with cosmic Christ purity. And we thank you for your service in the light, beloved Archangel Gabriel. Good morning, Archangel Zadkiel. I welcome the violet transmuting flame and fire into my sacral center. And I ask you, beloved Archangel Zadkiel, to activate the violet transmuting flame and fire to blaze and transmute any misqualified creation in my mental, emotional, physical, etheric, and causal body. Blaze the violet transmuting flame and fire in through and around me, and raise the energy of anything that is misqualified in the unconscious, in the subconscious, in the past, the present, and future. Let it all be transmuted into the light. Let the violet flame accelerate and raise your vibration to a higher vibrating frequency in every cell of your body and your auric field.
Oxygen. It's nature's oldest therapy and plays an essential role in destroying viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungus, and keeping the human body healthy and strong. Now, you can give your body and your immune system a mega boost of disease-fighting oxygen with all-natural Oxy-C. With so many people now leading a sedentary indoor lifestyle, most are in a chronic state of oxygen deprivation, which sets up a perfect environment for disease, general fatigue, and a host of other symptoms. Oxy-C is yours in simple, convenient capsules. Nothing to mix, nothing to hassle with. Take it with juice or water anytime. Feel a cold or flu approaching? Have no energy or spark anymore? Try all-natural Oxy-C and prepare to be amazed. Oxy-C is only available from New Earth Health Solutions at Rense.com. Look for the New Earth banner at Rense.com.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.
With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson. Syrian officials have been constructive